The video you are about to see includes the real-life stories of women who wish to share their experiences of gender-based violence. Their stories are presented by actors to protect them. Along with several critical stakeholders, we open the door to provide you with a glimpse of those narratives. Welcome to When Love Goes Wrong. We're going to talk about the 7 ways to get out of an abusive relationship. Number 1, recognize the abuse.
It took me a long while to recognize that his screaming, his controlling my money, cutting me off from my family, it was abuse.
One of the greatest challenges that gender-based victims face is recognizing that it is not their fault. That's number 2. Recognize that it's not your fault.
So resources are limited within the public sector. The options would include referral to social services, but they are swamped because, as you can imagine, they're dealing with many other issues as well.
Some women do go to the welfare institutions. There are different organizations that these women can go to. There are organizations like the Safe Foundation. You have organizations like the Hope Foundation as well, if I'm not mistaken. There's the National Organization of Women, which helps women and children. And sometimes, even if it's not a full organization per se, there are different advocates around the island that you can approach. And, these women can seek help and feel safe knowing that there is someone or there are people out there that are willing to help them and, keep their information confidential, help them and their children either be safer in the situation that they're in if they don't want to leave for whatever reason, or get them out completely if they do feel the need to want to do that.
Number 3, tell your friends, your family, your work colleagues. The abusers love to isolate and separate the victims. Number 3, alert your friends and family.
I called my mom the minute he attacked me.
Number 4, document everything, no matter how small.
Where there is domestic violence in the home, you always want to make sure that you gather as much evidence as possible against your perpetrator. It is easy where it's physical violence because you have the marks, you have the bruises, you have the scars, you can have medical reports from doctors. And of course, what I say to victims is you take photos after an incident. You may not necessarily be allowed by the perpetrator to get out of the home to see a doctor or be allowed by the perpetrator to get assistance from a third party. But where possible, you take photos so you have that as evidence.
There was one incident that was really ugly. I had to call the police, but I recorded everything on my phone.
Number 5, set money aside. Save. Hide it someplace.
Honestly, I kept going back because I was totally dependent on him financially. But as I started to get little jobs and make my own income, he lost power over me. I had the upper hand, and then I was able to leave.
I didn't even have money to go to the police station. I had to call this woman who was an advocate, and she get this lady to give me money. My own mother ain't even helped me this good. Now I save a little every week, no matter how small.
Number 6, pack an emergency bag. Ensure that you have all your important documents. And remember to pack your children's favorite toys. Finally, number 7. You have to leave. And once you have left, you must disengage entirely.
The solution to gender-based violence or abuse on a whole is going to take years.
We need to start having open and honest public communication.
This is not a problem that you can leave at the foot of the family in an individual or isolated capacity to deal with. It really is a problem that we all have to deal with.
We need to educate victims more about the resources that are at their disposal. And we need to start holding perpetrators more accountable. The legislation is there. We, in my opinion, have a beautiful piece of legislation. The thing is that we have to start enforcing it.
You have to start with the young people, the children, and basically instill certain morals and values within them, ways to cope, how to deal with your mental health and your stressors.
Do I keep it inside until it builds up and then explode? Or do I explore the emotion? What happened? How did I feel? Did I feel bad? Is it okay to pray? That's the other thing that men are not taught, is that if something hurts, you pray. If you break your leg, you pray. Emotion is no different. I think that one of the issues with these flare-ups is that we do not know, we are not taught how to express emotion in a healthy, safe way.
A lot of perpetrators, when we look at what is going on in the family unit, the violence is characterized and perpetuated by persons who have underlying mental health issues. And because we are so silent on the issue of mental health in Barbados, because it is shameful to have a mental health issue, we don't offer the protection that is necessary because we don't deal with the root cause, which is the mental health.
I think that education should be involved in trying to have that changed or have it put in a way where, women can begin to heal from gender-based violence or even prevent themselves from ever being in these situations to begin with. Math, English, geography, all these subjects at school are all well and good, but what about sex health education classes, health and family life education?
The violence is coming from somewhere. The pattern there's a history of the pattern. And so we have to look at the root. Was there a time when families and societies were functional? What changed? What caused the change? And what can we do to alleviate the change? Some of the things that you may want to do is look at the whole idea of conflict resolution and have it tailored not just for people doing postgraduate studies, but from primary school through secondary school, through tertiary education. It should probably be made one of those compulsory courses to teach people how to deal without resorting to violence.
It's good that we can save some women. It's good that we can protect persons who are already exposed to the violence. But what we want to do is to ensure that we have a younger generation of victims, potential victims who can see the signs, who can understand what it looks like before they find themselves into it, who understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of. If it happens to me, I need to speak out, not just for my sake, but for my children and those coming behind me. And then, of course, we want to help perpetrators, potential perpetrators, persons who may generally be going down that line of becoming a perpetrator, to recognize that there are alternative ways of dealing with anger, of dealing with emotional issues.
That's the importance of having these conversations in public, having these difficult conversations. That's the importance of bringing stakeholders to the table.
So as a society, we have to change what is normal for us, help persons deal with their mental health, instill ways in them to cope. And it will take a while, but eventually we will see a change and a shift in the dynamic.
And even when we know these 7 steps, it doesn't make it easy.
I didn't feel safe around the police.
That is why I'm determined to share my story with other women.
I don't want my children to go through what I go through. It was very traumatic for me because I never expected to see inside a police station or a court. It was a lot.
You have got to get out.
This is not about love. It's about power.